Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jaeger Anderson with Jaeger Anderson Photography, and today I'm going to be sharing some tips and tricks that I use on social media to help me get more photography clients, and they may, hopefully, help you too. Tip number one. Check out Alignable. Now, Alignable is a program that's sort of like LinkedIn, except instead of being person-to-person networking, it's business-to-business networking, and it's also aggregated by your local community. So for example, I'm based in Rochester, New York, and I've registered my photography business on Alignable for Rochester, New York. And I get to see all these other businesses who's also registered within the local area. So rather than being like someone who's in California or someone who's in New York City, I get to see businesses that are close by, and I can then approach these businesses on Alignable and connect with them just as you would on LinkedIn or other social media platforms. And then I can offer up my services. I could offer up, headshots for their website. If they own a restaurant, I could do food photography. If they're a small business selling a product, I could do product photography. And so it's a really cool way to help your photography business and to network with other people who are right here. So you don't have to, it's actually much more useful as a photographer when you have to work directly with people and with your business. It's not remote work. You have to be really there with them. And so it aggregates people who are right down the street, right next door within your downtown, and it makes it to be a much more useful tool than LinkedIn, I think, at least for photographers. And if you're a wedding photographer or you're a person who sells, who goes business to consumer, it might be a little tricky, but there's still ways to work around with it. But I'll talk more about that in a later video, but that is tip number one. Check out Alignable. Tip number two, use hashtags and geotags. Now for this, I'm gonna hop on my phone here. I'm gonna do a little screen recording. Hashtag Rochester small business. I'm gonna do search. As you can see, there are about 100 posts that pop up. And I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna find some people who might be able to be potential clients. So here we have Light My Candle. So I'm gonna go in here and I think I could take, some pretty nice photos for this person. So I'll look at one of their posts, then I'll flag it and I'll save it to a collection. And I've already created the collection called Potential Clients. And that's what I'm going to do. And I just repeat that process with other people. So I'm looking for people who may be interested in doing photography. And I'm also going to go back here. So right now it's showing me the top posts, but I can also go to recent posts. So I can find, so here's like cupcake owner. So this person owns Sweet Bakes by Jess. So I can go in here. I do a lot of food photography, so I can save that to a collection, save that to potential clients, right? Makes sense? So then I would just repeat that process a few times, and then after I've collected, 20, 30 potential clients, I can shoot them a message on Instagram and ask them if they would be interested in collaborating in some capacity or, working with them to do some food photography or some product photography. Or if I am, for example, a wedding photographer, I could look at recent posts in Rochester, New York and see if anyone has posted engagement photos. And then I can start networking and seeing if they need a wedding photographer potentially. So there's lots of ways you can use Instagram, hashtags, and geotags. You just have to be creative about how the hashtags you select. So I generally like city name plus small business, and I find a lot of great results with that. So that's tip number two. Tip number three. Now, a lot of people kind of don't like Facebook anymore, and it's totally understandable. Facebook is kind of like on the out and out. It's too much advertising, right? It's not very fun. However, it's still very useful if you're a photographer because people still look for that credibility on Facebook. They want to know that you're legit, and it's important to have a Facebook presence. But all that aside, you can use it as a way to find potential clients using the same hashtag method, or how I like to use it is joining Facebook groups. So I'll join Facebook groups for communities that are associated with photography. And the reason why I do that is, one, I like to help other photographers with their photography. And so by offering them services and stuff, ideas to better improve their photography, I become a valuable resource to the photography community in Rochester, New York. And through that reciprocity, if a gig comes up and I can't do it, I might recommend another photographer whose work I really like. And then they might recommend me. So I think having that kind of collaboration and that support of other artists in the area is super important. And so I highly recommend joining Facebook groups because also they may want somebody to photograph stuff for them, whether that's a family shoot. If you're a photographer and you're getting married, you might need someone to photograph your wedding. You can't photograph your own wedding. So it's just a good way to build rapport and, you know, credibility among your fellow gunslingers out there. So join Facebook groups of local photography communities. There, that's what I meant to say. So, haha. Now, my final tip for you for how to find potential clients to work with is a little bit unconventional, and it's probably my favorite way of finding photography clients. Now, people who know me know that I have a ton of hobbies and interests. I do rock climbing, I do jiu-jitsu, I do dancing. And because I have all these hobbies and interests, these are things that I love and that I do all the time, you know, under normal circumstances. And because I love these things so much, I want to do them all the time, I often do these hobbies and I become connected to the community there. And then I approach the people who run them and I say, hey, would you like me to photograph an event? Would you like me to do product photography for you? Would you like me to do photography for your social media? And 9 times out of 10, people do. And because they know me personally, you know, I've been part of these communities for several weeks, months, or even sometimes years, you know, they trust me to do a good job with their work. Now, that is sort of a long-term kind of commitment goal, but I think it's one of the best ways to grow your photography business because you're working with people that you like. You're working with, you know, businesses that you endorse because you give them money so that you can do these things. Whether that's, you know, rock climbing or jiu-jitsu or whatever. And then you're helping them and they're helping you and everybody wins, and it becomes this really nice kind of symbiotic relationship that you have with your local community. And so that's a bit unconventional, and but it's one of my favorite ways to do things because I can also join a community that I know nothing about, you know, and become a part of it and then be like, oh, it would be awesome to help this community grow with some nice photography or some good videography. So anyway, those are my 4 tips. I hope you enjoyed this list of sort of unconventional photography small business tips. And yeah, please consider liking this video and subscribing. It would mean a lot. I'm really trying to grow this channel, and your support would mean a great deal to me. And I hope that you will join me on my next video, and I'll see you there.